Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are once again live back here in the Bear Cave Studios for another episode of The Frenzy. With me, your host, Freddie Aloso, with my co-host, Joey the Eagle. What's going on, Joe?
What's up, buddy? Back from vacation?
Back from
Looking
vacay,
brand
man.
new?
Nice and tan. A little lighter in the beard, but it's growing back.
Yeah, I almost didn't recognize you. Was that a wife decision? Because I feel like you normally keep it.
No. That was a my bad. I went too short, and then I was like, screw it.
That's
Let's
why I look
let's
like
mess
you're
around
rocking the
with it.
Dirty Saints.
Yep.
Ha!
Yep. But we're back live and in living color for you guys. We took a little bit of a week off for vacation
No, no,
purposes. I
you
took a
did.
week off for
Okay.
vacation purposes.
Just making sure we know.
But in the meantime, NBA free agency has come. It has arrived. Big fish have landed. Some have moved. Let's just get straight into this. The big fish was KD, of course. You know, where was he going to land? You had the big five. You had KD, Kyrie, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, and Clay. That's six, but big six.
Okay, I was just gonna let you, use your math skills
Everybody
at your own
has
speed.
everybody has moved to a new team. So let's jump right into it. KD and
Okay, no,
Kyrie.
no, but Clay stayed, so it is five.
Clay
I'll give you the
stayed,
five.
so it's five. All right. Big
Give you the
five.
five.
All right. KD and Kyrie to Brooklyn. What
Yes,
did you
sir.
think of that move? He spurred the Knicks and he is gone. No
Did
big
he
signing for the
burn the
Knicks.
Knicks? Did he burn the Knicks?
No. He spurred him. He was like, I'm not going. I'm out.
So let me ask you something. Hypothetically, if you were KD, I mean, I know that's a stretch, but hypothetically,
Wow.
you're
All right.
KD,
I see.
right? And we all know that KD, I don't want to call it sensitive because that has like a negative, that kind of makes me feel like I'm trying to talk bad about him.
Right.
But it is what it is. He has his ear, to everything. What he reads online, people's comments, people that are on TV, whether it's ESPN, NBA TV.
Fake Twitter
He's listening to.
accounts. You know.
Yeah, he makes burner accounts. So that, to me, right off the bat, shows that he is a little bit sensitive, and I think we all know that.
Right.
So and here's my overall problem with the Knicks. If I'm Dolan and I know that I'm trying to attract the best player that has ever worn a Knicks jersey, and I know that he might be a bit sensitive, I'd probably watch what I say to the public.
100%.
So I wouldn't go on the radio and say, nah, you know what? I'm not sure if he's worthy of a max contract. I need to see his medical records first. So let me get this straight. I'm Kevin Durant. Some say the best player in the world right now. I still think LeBron holds that, but that's an argument for another day.
Right.
You're telling me that I might not be worthy of you giving me the max to play for your organization. Meanwhile, me with one good Achilles, crutch and all, could go out there and bust every Knicks ass that's played for the Knicks for the past 20 years.
It's a fair assessment. Yep.
So, with that being said, Dolan put his big-ass foot in his mouth, like he normally does, right?
Yep.
So, I think that was his first strike. I also think a big strike was them not going after Kyrie hard enough. You have to have people within the league. I mean, it was widely reported that they were a package deal. If you know that and KD goes down with an Achilles injury, I feel as if KD doesn't go down with that Achilles injury, then Kyrie's looking at him and saying, all right, where are we hooping next?
Right.
But I think once the injury happened, they sat down and Kyrie was like, listen, I still want to play with you. We're still going to be on the same team together. But if you're going to be out for a year, maybe not even be full strength to around 2 years, you got to give me something.
Right.
You can still go to New York like you want, but let me pick the team.
Right.
And at that point, I think that's when the Nets became the favorite. Now, I think for the Nets, it was a home run. I know there's a lot of people out there that I hear, and I think most of them, no offense, are delusional Knicks fans, calling in and saying, nah, you know what? The Brooklyn Nets can have him and Kyrie. You know, we didn't need them. Somebody called in on ESPN, and I probably shouldn't even give this type of opinion any type of love, but I've heard it from a couple of people. They tried to compare it to what the Nets did originally when they brought in Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. Guy, sit back, relax, okay? KD still has years of elite basketball left in him. Yeah. Kyrie Irving, not the best leader in the world, I'll give you that, has years of elite basketball left in him.
He doesn't have to be a leader. On this team, that's KD's team. He's got to play second fiddle, which when he does play second fiddle, he's perfect at it. When he's not complaining about it.
When Kyrie left Cleveland, he wanted all the smoke. He wanted to be El Capitan.
Yep. And
then he found out that, you know, it's cool when you're winning, you know, and you get all the recognition for the championships. But when you're in charge of younger players, you know, it's hard to massage all those egos.
Yeah.
When you lose and the scrutiny is straight on your back, especially after the previous year, your team making it further into the playoffs with a Terry Rozier than you.
Yeah.
I think Kyrie was like, wait a second, nah, I don't like this. I'd rather just go back to being I don't even want to say Robin. He was more like a 1A.
Right.
You know, so I think for the Nets it was a home run. They finally put legitimacy in the fact that, you know, a lot of people were still looking at them as the little brother to the Knicks.
Right.
Like there was talk on the radio, there was talk by, you know, pundits all over the place saying that, well, the Knicks are still the Knicks. It's still Madison Square Garden. They're not going to go to Brooklyn and play for the little brother. Well, newsflash, that's exactly what happened. And if you look at it from a basketball perspective, whether you're Kyrie, whether you're KD, outside of RJ Barrett, what do the Knicks offer you that the Nets don't offer you and then some?
Right.
You know, they have players. They have a LeVert who was going to be an all-star before his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they lost D'Angelo Russell, but they have shooters like Joe Harris, who led the NBA in three-point field goal percentage and won the NBA three-point contest mid-season. Not that that has anything to do with playing regular season basketball, but the dude's a big-time shooter.
He's a shooter, yep.
They were able to bring over the Nets. Did a great job of telling them, hey, listen, you two come. They had Jared Allen. Jared Allen can do exactly what DeAndre Jordan does. Protect the rim, be an athletic big that runs the floor well, finishes at the rim. They didn't care. They said, yo, if you come, cool, who do you want? DeAndre Jordan? Sure, we'll give him $40 million. And DeAndre Jordan is an older version of what Jared Allen is.
Yeah. So
but none of that mattered.
You've got him sitting in the wings. He don't got to play that first fiddle, yeah.
So I love what the Nets did. It hurts getting rid of D'Angelo Russell, and I actually became a big fan of D'Angelo Russell watching him play for the Nets. I think he matured a lot on and off the court. But stars attract stars in the NBA. That's just how it is, right? So for everyone out there saying, oh, you know, I might have wanted D'Angelo Russell instead of Kyrie. Yeah, well, if you would have done that, cool. KD wouldn't have came.
Yep, that's true. You'd be right back in the same spot, getting bounced in the first round. Exactly.
So for me and for an organization like the Nets, I think you do exactly what they did. You swing for the fences. And, you know, I've heard people go back and forth on whether KD's going to be the same player coming off an Achilles injury. I think, first of all, there's only one KD. You can't compare him coming off an Achilles injury to any other player. Yeah. I know they want to compare him to other players that have gotten it. I've heard some say Dominique. Dominique came back and he was just as explosive. You know, he was a killer when he came back. I think KD's going to do.
And also, I think KD's frame will help. He's not carrying a heavy frame. You know, he's not 250 and is 7 foot.
And to be honest with you, all right, so Dominique's injury was 20-ish years ago. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In that time frame, medicine's evolved.
Yeah.
You know, the incisions look like a C-section anymore, you know?
Exactly. You can barely
And
tell.
and I feel like KD is such a good just such a great basketball player that even if his athleticism is severely compromised, let's say it's worst case scenario, and the athleticism that he did have is dropped by 30%. Dude, he's an assassin. He's gonna find ways to be effective
Yeah.
as a scorer. It's not gonna matter. It might take him some time to figure it out. I don't
But
think he's gonna be the
it's
same
still
player
going to
after a
be.
year.
Yeah.
But KD is gonna come back, and KD is gonna come back with a purpose, and probably lead the league in scoring again at least 3 or 4 more times before his career is even done.
And it wouldn't surprise me if Brooklyn winds up with at least one championship at some point.
Oh no, I think if all goes well and KD comes back healthy, I think Brooklyn lines up really nice to at least get a ring out of it, at
Yeah.
least one ring out
At
of it.
least
And
one.
for a team that hasn't gotten to the finals since Jason Kidd,
Yeah.
Kenyon Martin, Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, and
Keith Van
and
Horn,
Keith Van Horn, exactly. So
Mr.
for an
High Sox
organization,
himself. And you know
yeah,
what's
man. So for
crazy?
an
I
organization,
also think a big retractor for the Knicks was Dolan himself. Like, I know you touched on it before, but wasn't it him, I believe, 2 years ago, started popping off about LeBron and his boys and how they're a joke on the side of the bench. And I know
well,
that didn't sit well within league circles because he kind of like I believe I don't quote me on this, but I believe he referred to them as boys.
Phil Jackson came out and did that.
Right. It was Phil, but also Dolan kind of co-signed on it in one of his
Yeah,
interviews, I believe.
that's why LeBron kind of came out and was like, "Nah, I'm never going to play for the Knicks until." Well, now it's going to be never.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to leave Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, I just
let's
feel like
jump
Dolan.
into some of these other signings before we get to Los Angeles, because California's got a lot popping off within the last 24 hours, and I'm not talking about earthquakes. We had a big signing for your Heat, little sign and trade with Jimmy Butler coming to Miami.
That's Jimmy Buckets.
Getting some love from D Wade saying, "No, you can't have my locker. No, you can't have my number."
Yeah, man.
We also had Kemba Walker to the Celtics. We had D'Lo to the Warriors. Clay staying put with the Warriors as well. We also had, was it Rozier went to
The Hornets.
the Hornets.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the
Oh,
blockbuster.
no, hold on. Before you go
Go ahead.
on, I would like to say that Kemba Walker deal,
Yeah.
I really like that Kemba deal for Boston.
I think it's good for them. I think Rozier also is a bit of a loss because the kid was talented. We saw what he could do in the playoffs. He took him on a nice run to the Eastern Conference Finals that year. But Kemba's a bit of a step up there. You got him with Brown. You got him with Tatum. A healthy Gordon Hayward and Enes Kanter now as well, even though you lost Al Horford.
With Kemba Walker, he's super talented. Every time I watched him play, it was against the Nets for whatever reason because it was on local TV,
Right.
and he just killed them. But what I like about Kemba is I think that when you have a coach like Stevens or even a coach like Popovich, their system, no matter how good of a player you are,
Right.
you still have to incorporate your skills within the system and the parameters that they give you to work with.
Right.
If you watch Kyrie Irving play, he's much more of like a freelancer. He's such a good ball handler. He's such a good shot creator that a lot of the times he'll run out of a set, run through it, and then just call for the pick and roll and look to make something happen off of it, which is cool.
Right.
It's obviously it works. I mean, he's averaged 20 plus points the game for his career. But I just think with Kemba Walker, Stevens is going to be able to he's going to kind of be able to run his system a little bit more.
Right.
And I think you're going to be able to see Kemba Walker do a lot of the things that Isaiah Thomas did when he spent those couple of years in Boston, really just putting them on his back. So I like that Kemba addition.
Yeah.
I love Jimmy Butler to the Heat, obviously. I don't know why he went there because he says he's all about winning, and I don't know how close the Heat are. I mean, obviously right now they're pretty far off. Yeah. But if they're able to land another player, like a Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook.
It might be interesting in the East. I'm just happy we're going to be on national television again because we haven't had that since LeBron left.
And then also your Heat got rid of Hassan Whiteside. They sent him to your West Coast team.
Yo,
Portland.
Listen. First of all, I get a lot of flack because, I just love Damian Lillard. So I'm not so much a Blazers fan as just a Damian Lillard fan. And I have no choice but to root for his team because he's on there. So it is what it is. But I think Hassan Whiteside going there, he's going to be happy for the first half of the season. Yusuf Nurkic is out. He's going to get all the minutes. I think this is going to be the first player that Damian Lillard played with that he has the ability to just throw it up, let the big man go and get it, and watch him finish it. It's going to give him that outlet when he's driving into the paint that he has never really had. I mean, as talented as Yusuf Nurkic is, he's more of a pick and pop, or you can feed him on the block. My point being, he's not uber athletic, so you're not going to throw up a lob pass, watch him sky over somebody, and yam it home. So this will be an ultimate test for what the Blazers coaching staff and players as far as their locker room and the culture they've instilled. If you can get Hassan Whiteside to play without all the distractions, without crying over minutes or not getting the ball, I think he can be 15-10, maybe even a 20-10, depending on how many touches he gets, player. But he's also got to understand that when Yusuf comes back, he's probably going to slide more into that Enes Kanter role. Now, with Enes Kanter, you got maximum hustle every time you touch the floor. We've seen that problem with Hassan Whiteside, where if he's not happy, he doesn't know how to kind of put that aside. He wears it on his shoulder, and you can kind of see him get lackadaisical out there, try and play outside of his game. So it'll be interesting to see how that team meshes. But I think CJ and Dame are going to make it work.
Can he win that starting role?
Nah, I don't know, man. It depends on how Yusuf heals up. Because Yusuf Nurkic, man, he was balling for them.
Yeah,
he was really playing well. So I just think it depends on what you're looking for that night. If you're looking for the shot blocking anchor that can play above the rim, then Hassan Whiteside's your guy. If you're looking for a more low post oriented scorer where you can throw the ball in, let him work. Like Hassan Whiteside really doesn't have much of a post game at all. Most of his buckets come off of dump downs or alley oops. He really doesn't do much in the way of giving you any type of post move.
So basically, what they gave up Aldridge to the Spurs, and now they got two players that basically do what he can do.
Well, so Aldridge wanted to. I loved Aldridge. He wanted to get out, and as we've seen with the NBA, if a player says he wants to leave, I mean, you're at a point now where we're gonna hit on it later, but Paul George, from all the reports, he wasn't even on the trading block or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It wasn't like it was out there where he was dying to leave OKC. If you read the reports, Kawhi Leonard basically, said, all right, teams can't tamper. I can. I'm a free agent, not part of a team. Yeah. So what are they going to do to me? And he was switching locations for like their Lakers meetings.
So he could then go and meet Paul George after.
With Paul George. So to me, that was crazy, man. You got the. It's funny too because Kawhi Leonard is known as the quiet guy, and you got him out here like James Bonds and 007, just while everyone's out there worried about where he's going. He goes, bro, don't watch me. Like watch TV. I'm good. I'm gonna get somebody to come with me. You'll see.
He's like, I don't know if you ever seen it, but you remember Casino with Joe Pesci driving into to parking garages, switching cars, and oh, where's that one car? And out goes Kawhi, and he's meeting up with Paul George, setting up meetings.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So, definitely got to hit on Al Horford going to the Sixers. That was a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money for a 5 when they already got a 5. What are you gonna put
here's my thing,
Horford as a stretch?
You
4
can play.
maybe?
You could play Al Horford at the 4.
Yeah,
You could play Al Horford at the 4. He stretches the floor enough, and he's actually a lot. He's for a guy his size, he moves really well on his feet, so he's able to guard 4s, even some 3s. So I think that's what they'll end up doing is having him at the 4 and then Embiid at the 5. So that'll be interesting. And on paper, I think they got the best starting 5 in the Eastern Conference. So we'll see how that works out.
so if they can all stay healthy and Ben Simmons can develop his shot, they may have a chance.
So Ben Simmons, I think it's a confidence thing with Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
I've seen him in workouts. I've seen him when I went to go see the Nets Sixers game. I was watching him. We were there pregame, and I was watching him shoot. He doesn't have an ugly jump shot.
mm-hmm.
Like the mechanics are good, and he was hitting them at a high clip. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's mentally. He's just not there yet, and it doesn't translate over. But I was even watching Damian Jones doing an interview on I think it was Get Up, and he was saying like, man, I've been in these workouts. Like Ben Simmons, there's practices he comes out and he shoots the ball at a high clip, but it doesn't do no good if you're not going to shoot that in the game, especially when they're guarding you. You know, you're at the top of the key, and the defender's
They're
in the
giving
free
you
throw.
that open shot. Yeah,
Yeah, like you got it. Even if you don't shoot it, you know, your first year that he becomes aggressive at a high clip, if you give the defense a thought that you might pull, it changes everything. They can't sag off 20 feet, so you have players like Embiid and Horford where the lane's clogged for them. From a perspective, like he's pretty unguardable right now at the fact that he's 6'10", handles the ball the way he handles it, runs like a gazelle, can finish with both hands at the rim. He would make such a big leap if they actually had to respect his jump shot, because right now he's balling out and he's not even he can't even not that he can't, he refuses to even shoot from 15 feet out, 17 feet out. The day that dude gets a jump shot, you're gonna talk about
a problem. It's gonna be
one of the best players in the league, hands down. Like he will be giving anybody you can think of a run for their money. But it's a big if, man. You've seen players come into the league and develop jump shots, but you've also seen players come into the league and it just never clicked for them, at least when the bright lights are on. So if he gets a jump shot, man, he's gonna be scary.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. So let's jump into California, man. Let's get over there. The first we had AD to the Lakers. It's not completely official because they had to wait on whether Kawhi was going to come or not, but that basically is getting pushed through. AD to the Lakers. Then last night about 2 a.m.
Yo, you ever text me that late again?
Paul George and Kawhi head to the Clippers. Like you said before, no one had any idea that Paul George was even on the trading block. Then today, as I'm on my drive home, Cousins, Danny Green, Quentin Cook, and Rajon Rondo sign with the Lakers. Pat Beverly, earlier in the week, re-signed with the Clippers. I got a feeling we're heading to a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference final for the next couple of years.
We'll see. I got a couple dark horse teams in the Western Conference that I think can give them a run for their money. I like what Portland's done if they can get it clicking. I think by the end of the season, people are going to wake up and realize that Utah put together a really, really good team. I think having somebody like Mike Conley there, that isn't. I know Ricky Rubio did his thing, but he's developed a lot with his jump shot, but he's not the playmaker or the player that Mike Conley is. Yeah. So I think that's going to do a lot for Donovan Mitchell. Boyan, from the Pacers. I think bringing him Bogdanovich over. I think he's for real, man. I don't know how much of it I watched, but he's a really good player. So I like what Utah did. Yeah, I think the Pelicans. So the fact that they were able to get that first pick in the draft, which turns out obviously to be Zion, I think that's what really made the Anthony Davis trade and what they got back easier.
Right.
You know,
you wound up getting Lonzo, Brandon Ingram. Was it Josh Hart as well was in there?
Yeah, I think Josh Hart was in there.
A couple first-round picks, or 3 first-round picks. One of them wound up being Zion.
No, but Zion, they already had that pick in the bag.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Zion was already that pick, and then it was the 4th pick.
Yeah, it was the 4th pick.
Yeah.
But so that's what they ended up getting. But I actually like what New Orleans did, man. Like, I know, to me, it sucks to say because you got to wait and see how these draft picks work out.
Right.
But I really do think it was a win-win for both sides. I think Zion coming there, you're going to see a lot of players once he gets in shape. I know that they were worried he's pushing like 300 pounds, but people got to understand. Once he finished at Duke, his sole purpose was to make sure he was 100% healthy on draft night.
Yeah.
Like, if he would have went and worked out uber hard, tore his ACL, he could have cost himself millions.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's sitting there having to work out for multiple teams. Once whoever got the first pick, like Zion just had to work out for that team.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about working out, for 15 different teams, flying all over the country. So with his frame, they said he gained some weight. I think he'll play himself.
The summer league game last night, you could see he was a little on the heavier side. He wasn't as toned up as he was when he was at Duke. I made a comment while I was watching the game with my son and my nieces and nephews were saying, I was like, look, he's gained a little bit of weight, but come regular season, you're gonna see he's gonna tone up and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. And I think it's interesting. This is the first time I've seen it in a long time. Normally when a team gets a rookie, you don't really see that affect veterans that much, as far as them wanting to go to a certain team. Like when New Orleans originally got it, Anthony Davis was like, I really don't care. I'm still going to Los Angeles to play with LeBron. So I thought it was interesting to see a veteran, a sought-after veteran like J.J. Redick, pick going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
For me, that's a sign that NBA players, right off the rip, they respect on what he brings to the table, his game. So I think it's interesting. I think they put together a really good team. I really do like what they've been able to put together. And from the Lakers' point of view, it was a must, right? You went out, you got LeBron, who was by far the best player in the league at the time, and to me still is, when healthy. And you need to get a championship with his tenure there.
Yeah,
right? That's what it's all about. As currently constructed, you weren't going to, and you had heard rumblings that there were star players that were going to be available, but didn't necessarily want to be under LeBron. Right. Not so much his leadership, but just, and can you blame him? Like when they win, he gets a lot of the credit. And I know when they lose, he gets credit too. But if you look at the third option on most of his teams, they're constantly getting killed whether they win or lose. Yeah. Chris Bosh got dumped on for years. Kevin Love got dumped on for years. So I just think you finally had players like, dude, why am I going to go there, bust my ass? He gets all the credit. And then they're going to look at me and say, oh, well, LeBron spoon-fed you that championship. You're not even really that good. Because before Chris Bosh got over there and he was playing on Toronto, everybody loved him. When he still had the dreads, he was an all-star already. And you can say the same thing about Kevin Love when he went to Minnesota. He had to change his whole game. Like, he never was a spot-up jump shooter in Minnesota. But because LeBron plays the way he plays, he changed his game. So I think they had to make a big move. They had to make that big splash. They gave up a lot. But at the end of the day, you have to see what those picks come out to be. If they turn this into a championship and that first round pick turns into the bottom of the first round, which is not going to be a lottery or star. It could be a star player, but the chances of it being a star player are relatively low. Then I think you're in a position where the trade was a no-brainer.
Right.
So
I agree with you.
I think it was
I
a
agree
win-win.
100%. But I think they, it was always, well, are they going to get Kawhi? And if they do get Kawhi, they're not going to have enough money to fill out this roster. They're going to have to get a lot of, D-League guys and stuff like that, vet minimum guys.
I think it would have been a lot like Miami when they got that big three, and you had players like Ray Allen, Shane Battier, Mike Miller. A lot of those players came over, and they were signing deals that were, someone like, dude, you could cash in somewhere else. Why are you going to the Heat? You would have gotten a lot of players that went over to Los Angeles just to get themselves one of those rings, play for the vet minimum.
Yep.
So I don't think they would have had as hard a time filling out the roster as people made it out. I do think that. So here's my thing: Kawhi Leonard on the Lakers would have made it basically a guaranteed ring, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, you have to take into account injuries, right? So with them having, and I think Golden State is the perfect model to look at. It's great, and to be honest with you, Golden State had a couple more players than the Lakers would have been able to have. They wouldn't have been able to come up with a Draymond Green, but that's besides the point, right? Mm-hmm. You saw that once Kevin Durant went down, I mean, they just didn't have the depth,
right.
To overcome that loss and overcome the Clay loss. I know it was a bit much, but I'm saying even with Clay in there, they were struggling because when you have that much cap to 3 players, you have to hope and pray that these players all stay healthy. Yeah. And if you look at it, Kawhi Leonard's already worried about load management. I know he's just coming off a ring, but he is worried about his load management. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say he's injury prone, but he just missed the season 2 years ago. You got Anthony Davis, who has his fair share of injuries.
He's a walking infirmary. Yep.
And then you have LeBron James, who while he's been Iron Man his whole career, and I think people are making a little bit too much out of him missing 17 games with the groin. Father Time is undefeated, and you never know when those injuries start to mount up. So while I think them missing out on Kawhi Leonard sucks, I think it was important for them to have a strong plan B.
Right.
And for me, I think their plan B was really good. They brought back a veteran point guard in Rondo to help out there. We've seen that he can play at a championship level. I think DeMarcus Cousins, 2 years off of this Achilles injury,
100%.
It's going to be a monster for them.
And we saw how well him and AD played down in New Orleans. They can coexist and chemistry. They can play very well together.
And there was multiple reports that Miami was in on him, but that I think they said like 4 or 5 Lakers players basically called him and was like, bro, like, don't go there, come here. We got a spot for you. And one of those players was Anthony Davis. So I'm sure once Anthony Davis called, that kind of sealed the deal for him.
Yeah.
So they were able to get other players like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Pope re-signed. You had Quentin Cook, who is
JaVale
a solid
McGee.
Young player, JaVale McGee, and Danny Green.
Yeah, Danny Green, which is a big, D&3 guy. So I think while they missed out on Kawhi Leonard, them being able to have a solid plan B, and obviously they had a solid plan B because as soon as Kawhi signed, they were out there and they inked like 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
So I think that they're still going to be able to make a deep championship run if everyone stays healthy. I think LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be the best duo there is next year, again, if they stay healthy.
Right.
And I think the Raptors showed this year. Like, if you have one mega star, which they have 2, and a solid team around them, the games still have to be played. So there's not before the season, nobody was picking Toronto. Certain injuries happen. They start playing well. Role players step up, and now they got a ring for it. So I don't necessarily think you need 3 stars to win a ring. I think a lot of the teams now have 2 stars plus a solid squad behind them.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Toronto, they had they were offered Paul George and Russell Westbrook for Siakam, and they
And a couple
rejected
other
it,
things.
and a couple other things, and they rejected it. Would you have
Yeah.
made that trade? And what the hell is Oklahoma City doing where you just blew up? You're basically blowing it up because now Westbrook is talking. He wants out. He's
Well,
not that he wants
here's
out, but he's looking for a trade now.
here's the thing. I think it's mutually beneficial for both parties.
Mhm.
OKC is clearly listen. Paul George to me was never on the trading block, but what they got for Paul George, if they're able to hit on their draft picks, was a haul.
Yeah,
Like they got a lot of compensation for him, so I can't blame them for seeing the writing on the wall and getting the most they can for him.
right.
I would have to see how the numbers work out. I don't know if getting Russell Westbrook and Paul George over to the Raptors would have been a way to maybe keep Kawhi. I don't know how those numbers would have worked out.
Right.
I'm assuming because Ujiri is such a good GM that the numbers just wouldn't have worked. It would have been one of those things where they're like, "Listen, you're losing Kawhi anyway. Let's do something
Let's
here."
try to get something in return. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt as far as knowing what they're doing. That Russell Westbrook deal kind of scares me. He is making a lot of money for a player that, let's face it, hasn't really been that far in the playoffs.
Right. His furthest year were, well, he made it to the finals one year, conference finals the year after, and then hasn't been back that deep since.
Yeah, so I don't know if I feel comfortable paying Westbrook that much money, but there are teams out there that may feel like they're one piece away.
Right.
And as much passion as he plays with, I do think that can rub people the wrong way. I think something that hasn't been talked about a lot, and I think is one of the most interesting aspects of all this going down, is when you look at it from a Russell Westbrook point of view. He considers himself an alpha. He's an alpha male. Like he considers himself the best player in the league. I'm
Right.
sure if you asked him, he would say, "No doubt, I am unguardable. Nobody can do what I do. I'm the best player in this league." Okay, cool. You had Kevin Durant playing with you, and he chose to leave and play with other stars over you, basically saying, "I can't win a championship with you. I'm gonna go somewhere I can."
Right.
That happened once. Now you have Paul George, who just signed a max deal. You had him on stage last year popping bottles at some club, excited to have him, and you thought that was going to be your running mate. And as soon as he had an opening to go play with a star that he deemed better, he said, "Bro, I got love for you, but I'm out. I'm going back to Los Angeles." So I'm really interested to see the mindset that Russell Westbrook plays with, because I could see him taking that extremely personally.
Yeah.
So if I'm a team that gets him, I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I can't say that I'm going to see him play harder because he already plays, to me, I think he's the hardest playing player in the league. Yeah, I just think his motor is relentless. I'm really interested to see what he does, though, man, because if I'm Russell Westbrook, I'm sitting there like I had two superstars, two MVP candidates, both choose to leave me because they didn't think I was good enough to team up with and win a championship. So we'll see where he ends up. I think if I'm OKC, you have to move him.
Yeah.
There's no option to keep him.
Now, crystal ball. Where does he suit up at the start of the 2019-2020 season?
So here's the interesting thing. Whether it's the NBA, MLB, NFL, timing is everything.
Right.
And that's in free agency, that's in trade, that's, everything.
Right.
So the timing of this Paul George trade, I think they got a haul back for him, but OKC is put in a bit of a bind when it comes to Russell Westbrook, because a lot of these teams that might have been vying for his availability, and they could pin him against each other and say, "Oh, well, this team's offering X, what are you offering?" A lot of those teams are tapped out already. You look at teams that had, cap space like the Lakers. And I'm not saying they had enough to fit Russell, but I'm just saying as soon as the Kawhi domino fell, a lot of teams started using up that cap space.
Yeah.
So teams that have the availability to maneuver enough players to absorb a contract like Russell Westbrook. I heard Kendrick Perkins talking about it earlier, saying that the Heat might be a likely destination for him. I think if you're the Heat and Pat Riley, you do anything and everything to make that deal happen.
Right. What about the Knicks? Do the Knicks pull that trigger? I know they're one of the teams that did spend a lot of money. They got a lot of guys in. Do you try to make that work? And do you have enough cap space to do it?
I would have to, before they made these flurry of moves, I would say, yeah, the Knicks would definitely be in on a player like Russell Westbrook. But I don't know with how these new deals were
financially where they sit, right?
Yeah, constructed. I don't know if they're even a team. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be teams that are looking to move with these capologists now. I know I say that creating salary cap space is difficult, but if you really want a player, I mean, there's ways to fit around,
right?
You know, adding a player outside of the, you know, a Golden State who already has 3 max contracts. But there's a lot of teams out there I think that would be able to maneuver. But it's just giving up all those assets for a player that's not exactly – I don't see him slowing down, but his last year of his contract where he's going to be making, I think it's like $42 million for the year. He's going to be 34.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because you got to look at teams that are building and have young assets. Do they feel that they're that one piece away from winning a championship? Because you're not going to give up all your future assets or assets that you've been building over time, players you've been building over time, to not cash in on a ring.
Yeah,
that's the ultimate goal. I could see a team like Minnesota trying to make that work.
Right.
Because there was rumblings that they were in on the D'Angelo Russell. They missed out on him. You pair, you know, a Westbrook with a Karl Anthony Towns. Don't know what's gonna come of a combination like that. But I could definitely see a team like the Timberwolves possibly trying to make that money work. They've been looking to get rid of Wiggins. He's got some upside to him if you can finally unlock his potential. So it'll be interesting to see where Westbrook ends up. But he looks good in the Heat uniform.
I'm saying he'd look good in the Knicks uniform too. You might have to call your boy down in Philly and say, "Hey, come and make this cap space work."
They kicked out Oakley. You don't think they're gonna kick out Westbrook mid-game for the stuff he does?
I think for the Knicks to come back to prominence, Dolan's gonna have to sell that team, and somebody's gonna have to come and kind of restart this Knicks franchise.
Yeah, man. The Knicks got to do something. Knicks got to do something.
It's crazy. And then, you know, we touched on it briefly, the Clippers. Do they have enough firepower with Paul George, the Claw, Lou Will, and Pat Beverly, and a couple other pieces that they already do have to really make a push for the finals?
So the Clippers, this is the Clippers window, right? They gave up
everything.
5 first-round picks.
5 first-round picks, Danilo Gallinari, and something else.
Yeah, I think they gave up another player. But my point being, so I love the Clippers team. I really do. I love the organization. I love the owner. I love the fact that they have Doc Rivers pulling the strings. Alexander, the young point guard. That's who they gave up. Right. That's another reason why I think the Thunder are going to trade Westbrook is because I think having Russell there with Alexander, they're just not really compatible with each other. I think it's one or the other, and they're going to choose to let Alexander be the next up and coming point guard for OKC. But I digress. You're taking I think it's interesting because a lot of the times when you put these big threes together or big twos together, you look at it from just strictly an offensive perspective, right? Like Anthony Davis and LeBron James, oh my God, they're going to average 35 together, this, that, and the third. if you look at the team that the Clippers have assembled, and I'm going to call it a big three for a second. I'm not, overall, it's just a big two. But just look at the defensive end. Patrick Beverley is a dog.
A monster on
A
defense.
dog.
Yep.
He might just be the best defensive point guard in the league.
Yep. I would wholeheartedly agree with you.
So you got him. You got Paul George, who's all NBA defense.
Yep. No slouch himself.
And you got the claw, Kawhi Leonard. Bro, if you're a guard out there trying to score against these three, good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that they were able to get these three. You might just have first team all defensive because Klay Thompson is out. So Paul George, I think, is going to get that spot at the two guard. They might all make first team all defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened again.
Lou Will.
I love
Lou Will is no slouch on defense as well.
No, but
was it 3-time Sixth Man of the Year? No.
Yeah, I mean Lou Will's one of the best microwave players I've ever seen. Like you could put him in a game, and he hasn't touched a rock or ran in 45 minutes, and he'll go out there and drop 36.
Yeah.
Lou Williams. All right, so I don't even think it's fair that Lou Williams is called the sixth man.
Yeah.
Because he's so damn good, bro. He's a starting shooting guard on most teams.
Yeah.
Easy. And he's one of those guys. You know who he actually reminds me of? A little younger version, obviously, but he reminds me of another Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He's gonna be 55. Still averaging 20 points a game if he wants because he hits tough shot after tough shot. He's got an amazing handle. And like I said, he makes tough shots look like easy shots. Sometimes he pulls up in transition with two defenders on him, and you're like, dude, what the? Nothing but net. So I love Lou Williams. I think the talent that the Clippers were able to put together, if they win a championship or two out of it, I also think it's cool dynamic that both star players are from California.
Yeah. Coming back to their roots.
That's cool. Yeah, man, and I just think Kawhi Leonard pulled a LeBron better than a LeBron. Like we've known LeBron as the master recruiter, you know, the master just pulling everyone's strings and ending up with players that he wanted. And Kawhi silently picked Paul George and was like, that's the guy I want to play with. And he made it happen.
Yeah.
So credit to him. I love it. I think this is the first year that the NBA is going to be able to say there's full-on 8-9 teams that could win a ring this year.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. It's going to be because remember, Giannis, he's reloading as well up there in Milwaukee. They got a couple pieces.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just a 2-horse race. The West is going to be loaded. You know, Houston took a step back. Golden State's going to take a little bit of a step back this year. So it's wide open. And with that being said, my brother, you got anything else?
Nah, man. I think I'm all tapped out.
So, guys,
this NBA free agency. I'm still a little under the weather. I'm the only Puerto Rican that gets a cold in the middle of the summer, but
summertime.
It's all good.
But thank you guys for listening. With the summer coming up, we are going to be trying to throw at least 2 episodes a week to you guys. So stay tuned for that. You guys know the handles, www.thesportsfrenzypodcast.com for all our information, Twitter handles, YouTube page, all that stuff. We appreciate you guys listening, and we will catch you guys later this week. Peace.